In this video, I'm going to show you how I went from a plain white wall to this accent wall that I created here in our bedroom. And I'm going to do a little explaining along the way. So if it gets a little too wordy for you, feel free to skip ahead. But I'm going to show you all the steps that I took to go from a plain white wall to all the layout of these boards and the installation of them, the puttying, the caulking, the prepping for paint, the painting itself. And I think you're going to find this is a very doable, DIY friendly project. So take a look. This is where the bed will be, the headboard will be. And the idea is to make a panelized effect on the wall by using 1x4s. Like these here. Horizontally, vertically, just breaking up the wall. And then the whole wall will get painted this green. Step one is the layout. And the layout is extremely subjective. What looks right to some people doesn't look right to everyone. But I think there's some general rules that you always want to follow. Symmetry, balance, some scale. I think even there's some gray areas in those topics also. But I want to walk you through where my brain goes, how I think about a thing like this, and how I'm going to do my layout. So what I can tell you at the very least is we're going to have the 1x4 trim across the floor at the baseboard, up the walls, across the ceiling, picture framing this, and then a couple horizontal and a couple vertical. So we're going to start with that. And what I'm going to do here is actually snap chalk lines all around everywhere where I want a 1x4. And I'm doing that more so to just establish the design and get the missus to approve it before I commit to nailing all these on and painting everything. And just so I can take a step back and look at it and see if it makes sense to me. Now down here at the baseboard, I want to have a molding going across the bottom, and I want it to be about high enough that it still mostly shows above the baseboard. So I'm going to take a little measurement here and figure out where the top of this needs to be. Okay, so we got that top one established, now the middle one. And as I'm looking at this, thinking about what makes sense as far as spacing goes, what I think is going to look right to me is to have a piece that's kind of right in line with the meeting rail of these windows. Kind of at like a height like that. Where like if you walk into the room, this line looks like it lines up with something. It makes sense. You know, it's kind of continuing the plane, this line that the windows are creating. Okay, now the vertical layout. I don't think there's any room for any vertical panels over here on the ends beyond the window. But I do think I'm going to put two vertical ones right down here. So where my brain went was, let's just take a measurement between the window casing and where this trim board here is going to be, which is 19 inches. 19 inches between those two. Let's just see how this would lay out if we put 19 inches between this one and then 19 inches between this one. You know, let's see what we have left in the middle. That's kind of where my head went. So 19 plus 3.5. 19 plus 3.5. And that'll leave us with 23.5. So I'm okay with that. Something slightly a little bit larger in the middle, I think is going to be fine. Yeah, you could fine tune it a little bit if you really wanted to. But again, this is such a subjective thing. I'm content for the gap between these two to mirror the gap between these two. So, you know, either side of the window, that space is going to match perfectly. Same thing over here, left side of the window, left side of the window, that spacing is going to match perfectly. And then what we're going to have left in the middle between those two will be 4 inches larger. But again, I don't think that most people are going to see that. I don't think it's going to look wrong in any way. So as I'm installing these pieces, if I know what this angle is, which was 32.5 degrees, I'll cut a second block 32.5 degrees so I can just bring this piece in and test fit the miter, you know, before I nail this off. And then I can take this away and get my measurements. But another good reason to hold on to a scrap piece like this is to help get your next measurement, which is from this inside corner up to another, you know, goofy inside corner. Kind of hard to get measurements from one inside corner to another when you're by yourself. But if you keep this scrap block and you put this scrap block in there and then just make a pencil line right here at the end of the board, pull that away, then it's easy to measure from this pencil line up to that corner. It's just much easier to see that. Or you could leave this block in place, maybe just tack it with a nail and measure up to the butt end of this board. And just to be clear with what I'm saying with this block, you have this block in place, you measure from your point to this block. That measurement in combination with this will get you the length of the piece of wood that you really want. So I will measure this, take that measurement and add the length from this corner to this corner. Or just take this block out with you and lay this out on the piece of wood that you're about to cut. Lay it out and then add, you know, the length that you measured in addition to that. Any combination of those things. But this in combination, and this is any arbitrary length, it doesn't even matter. This in combination with a measurement can be very helpful. So the way I'm finding these angles is with an angle finder, a digital angle finder. Turn it on. It's got a digital readout, and you open this up to fit the angle. And when you get there, let's just say this was a roughly 135 degree angle up there. There's a button on here that you can touch that will change the readout to your miter degree readout. So then you can literally take this out to your saw or take that number to your saw, make your cut, come back, you're gonna have a really nice fit. Okay, so there you have it. The woodwork is done. Everything turned out pretty nice. I'll take the camera around, show you some of the fit on some of these areas. The miters all came together really nice. I used construction adhesive and glued all of these trim boards to the painted drywall. And then anywhere where I had a raw wood to wood connection miter or whatever, I used wood glue there. So I think that turned out really nice. Now got to caulk and putty all of this, and I'll also take a orbital sander over these joints here to try to flush them up a little bit better. Some of these areas are a little proud of another, so I'll sand that all flush and prep it all and get it ready for paint.